They pulled me out of the line. They tell me I got to go through special screening, and I don't know why. I don't know why it happens.
It's the beanie, and I'm not joking.
Okay, so we're about to watch Tim Pool versus Raw the Rugged Man. This was on the Timcast, and this got taken down almost immediately. It didn't go very well for Tim Pool, and so the entire VOD is missing, but the relevant clip has been recovered, and we're about to watch that right now. So I'm here with Duke of Cheek Clapping from the Discord.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. So yeah, we're about to get into this curse debate with Tim Pool and Raw. So let's go.
I want to explain something in a little more detail that we were talking about in the show that I think didn't get fleshed out enough. So, and I'll preface it by saying I do not believe I face more discrimination than black people in this country.
Like, hey, just let me start off by saying, like, not to be racist, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, where are we going from
It's
here?
just like the fact he even needs to establish that is almost a red flag in itself, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like a sign.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is one of the difficulties in my life is people who grow up in a white suburb. Everybody's white. I go there, I'm not white.
I don't believe that.
Well, so you're wrong, but let me explain.
I don't believe that. I think somebody might. You just said on the last show that like some people mistaked you for Mexican. That was your biggest.
I'm not
thing.
one of them, dude. Like this is the life I've lived.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm not saying that I've got a boot on my neck.
You're fine.
I'm saying you need to understand
we're in a redneck,
that there are people who have
redneck area. If we go up to the truck stop up the block, nobody's looking at you like, get that guy. You know.
I didn't say they were.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you put somebody else in there, they're looking at you funny. You're good. You go to the airport, they're not pulling you over because they
no. That's bullshit.
They pull you over.
Yes,
because you look like what? Because you
yes,
look like
motherfucker.
Yes, motherfucker. Oh my god.
Trying to establish dominance over some, made up lie in his head, as if they really pull over people like him in the airport on a regular basis. Us and the rest of society all know the exact kind of people who get pulled over or stopped in airports, and it's certainly not white people like him.
Yeah, and he's already got that yes motherfucker thing. It feels like he thinks that he has to match Ra's tone, and I don't know, like this is where it starts to go off the rails, right? Because he ends up just being, I don't know what he thinks he's doing, but he ends up being kind of disrespectful, and that's what provokes the conflict later on.
Look like
I get randomly flagged every fucking time I go to the airport. See,
because what reason?
The fuck if I know?
Because you look like what?
Fuck if I know, dude.
You really heard
because I get it fucking every single time I go, and you are a racist dude who says I couldn't possibly understand every fucking time I go to the airport. I'm randomly screened.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the beanie.
Every time.
I think it's the beanie. That's the best sleeper line of the thing. It's definitely the beanie. It's 100% the beanie. That beanie looks sus.
Every time. Every time. I go to the UK, they put 4 S's.
What are you screaming for?
I'm screaming because
what?
When
you're hurt that you're a white boy?
I'm hurt because you're a racist,
there you go.
and you have this arrogance and elitism that you know better than everybody, that you're the white savior, that you got to be in the struggle for the poor brown people.
No,
and then
I didn't say
every
that. I didn't say
fucking
that.
time.
When
No,
I watch
bro.
Okay, so like Tim's talking about some stuff that like does white savior shit happen in lefty communities? 100% yes. That's true, right? Is Tim Pool the one to be making this criticism, though? I'm not sure. I'm kind of thinking that, he's got like such a severe lack of understanding. I don't even think he knows what that means. He just sort of knows that it's something that the lefties don't want to be called.
Not only does he not understand what it means, he has no kind of skin in the game and no real personal experience with being black, with being into the black culture and being targeted for being black. Whether or not he's an ally, maybe he should leave this kind of stuff to said black people instead of talking for them.
No, listen to what I have to say. When I say something like, when I'm being polite, when I'm being polite to you.
Lower your voice first.
When I'm being polite to you.
Like a motherfucking human.
When I'm being polite to you, and then I say, I deal with this problem, and then you laugh at me, dude.
Yeah, I laugh sometimes.
You're a racist.
No, it's not racist.
Yes,
it is,
we're
talking about systematic racism in America. And then you go, my struggle is this, to discredit the struggle of the black man and the black
When
woman.
did I, I literally just said they have it worse than I do. I literally just said they have it worse than I do.
That was the facade. That was the facade to not take away
facade?
From the yes, it was like
admitting outright, saying straight up, bro.
And your Jesse Smollett hoax. You made up this whole story about white supremacists coming to your house and saying, "Oh, the mixed couple," and throwing racist pamphlets at you, and you made up a whole Jesse Smollett thing. You know,
I've been
and that's the takeaway from the struggle of the black man.
It seems like we're blending between
no, you're a racist
Moonlord. No one wants to hear what you have to say.
Prick, here's my hour-long documentary about the black struggle in Ferguson.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah. Oh great, $100,000 budget. James Baldwin interviews with people on the ground to talk about what they've been through, and you have the nerve to come up to me and tell me my experiences don't matter when I'm fighting the fight.
Screaming, bitch.
And that's a weird thing. So we looked into this Ferguson coverage that Tim Pool did. Apparently it was with Vice. So it's not the kind of thing where he's driving the editorial stance of the coverage. It's the kind of thing that they send him out to Ferguson because he's done reporting from Occupy, and several other protests. So he's shown he can kind of bring them back the story like that. But they're very much directing him at what to do, and he does it. He's working for a huge company here, right? So it's kind of not comparable.
This isn't coming from like his free will and generosity, it's coming from the company telling him what to do and him going to do said thing.
Yeah, and it was 7 years ago too, so there's some chance that his stance has changed in the meantime.
Stop screaming, first of all. Talk to me like because I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
Talk
you are.
normal.
You are. You actually are, dude. Yeah. You are that guy.
I'm not that guy to fucking scream at, bitch. You wanna get fucked
This is the moment. This is the one that you've seen on clips, right? And you came here to watch the video with me. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here to do that and not giving views to Tim Pool, who actually took this video down. But yeah, Tim was being disrespectful like the whole time, right? Raw was just trying to, have a conversation. Obviously they don't agree, but Tim was the one dropping all the motherfuckers and you're raising his voice.
Talking over him.
Yeah, and just kind of basically provoking this reaction and calling him racist. And then, if you're wondering about like, I'm not that guy, you are that guy, like what that is about, Tim Pool is saying that Raw is the kind of guy that is
not willing to take up the challenge that I guess Tim Pool's putting out there.
Actually, know what? I think part of what he was saying is that like he's not that guy to be fucked with. In other words, like Tim is a radio host. Tim is a, kind of a professional debate bro, if you will. You can yell at each other, you can be rude to each other, but as far as actually escalating that to a physical confrontation, that's like off the table. And what Raw is saying by standing up and smacking away the microphone is like, listen, you are not messing with a guy that is gonna sit here and take disrespect.
Especially since Raw is loved by the black community for the most part and actually puts in the work instead of babbling about hypothetical civil wars for the 100th time.
All right.
What the fuck are you screaming at, bitch?
Let's calm down.
Cut it, man.
You think you could...
I'm not that guy. You don't disrespect me, bitch.
What did you do to me? Did you disrespect me?
Nah, you start raising your voice to me like I'm some sucker.
Did you laugh at me?
Bitch. Yeah, laugh.
Did you disrespect me? I was nice to you, bro. I was being nice.
You start raising your voice to me like I'm your son, bitch.
You raised your voice to me? Bro, I said I respected you.
You wouldn't shut the
I
fuck up
appreciated
with that
you.
raising your voice shit.
I stopped when you told me to.
You can tell that Tim's a little scared here, right? He didn't expect that reaction. That's off the table normally.
The tremble in his voice.
Yeah.
You said lower your voice, so I lowered my voice. I told you I respected you coming. It was a good show. I said I respected you willing to admit when you got things wrong. Bro, I have put so much of my life into this. Look at this.
I watch your videos.
I
already watched your video. No, I see your videos.
You don't.
No, I see your video. Yeah, you're gonna say, look, this is the non-racist thing. But meanwhile, you have videos promoting Derek Chauvin and acting like he was in the right. You have videos of that. You have videos of the other guy. You have videos of the other. You have videos of the other guy.
Two guys.
Arbery. And you
guys.
go, oh, but they grabbed the pistol, defending them, killing a black man in the streets, and he ran for them and giving excuses.
2 guys.
You have these videos.
It's 2 guys that most people would know better than to like, you know what I mean? It's kind of, it just shows it's not just 2 guys. It's 2 situations where just the fact that Tim's going to look at that situation and try to defend the cops or defend Arbery's killers here, it's monstrous. It's
like, really, like, I really want people to imagine this. Imagine you're going for a jog. You're a person of color, and suddenly, two white people are in a car following you, beginning to chase you. And as you run to a public spot, construction place, or whatever spot you're trying to get to, they come out, stuff you in a trunk, and you end up dead. And somehow the black man is in the wrong.
So all of this shit doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No, of course not.
A decade of work doesn't matter.
No,
because
because lives were lost by police.
And this is wild to me that Tim Pool thinks that he has done a decade of good work on these issues, right? Like, he thinks he's like calling it, I don't know, down the middle or something like that, and like, yeah, he was there in Ferguson, you're right, like we said, it was, under Vice, so it's a little bit of a different situation, and there are probably examples where Tim Pool has had decent takes, but he's kind of using those as like moral self-licensing for his just monster takes. And these are monster takes that this is Tim Pool's lane. He appeals to right-wingers who don't have any kind of intersectional analysis, don't understand nuance, but they've got this, just kind of like, they got the white zeitgeist in their head, and they've got this, I guess, conventional wisdom, you'd say, right, that they're relying on, and he monetizes that. This is the problem with DebateBros. This is the problem with these, fake centrists like Tim Pool. This is a huge issue that people play to this audience instead of educating this audience. Like, this audience needs your help. This audience does not understand the world that's going on around them. And instead of giving them your help, and instead of like teaching them something, you are enabling their bullshit, and that bullshit is doing harm, Tim.
Feeding people straight up bigotry for no real reason. Getting CRT out of schools as if it's some kind of toxic poison, even though it's not even taught until the college level.
Yeah, this idea that like the acknowledgement of racial power dynamics, the discussion of those kind of dynamics and how they affect our world, that might be, the key to getting past this stuff. In Tim's mind, that's racist. It's racist to acknowledge how racist America is. And you're going to see more of that bullshit on display later on in this debate. Really what they want is to shut down any kind of discussion of race as having a power dynamic to it. They want to see it as like white people shouldn't be mean to black people and black people shouldn't be mean to white people. And just all the time ignoring that, one of these meannesses has like a reinforcement from the system, from the establishment. Yeah.
And you were there bootlicking the fucking cops.
I think we should abolish the police.
But you don't. You claim that so you could get away with
Have you
talking
seen my
about
explosive rant where I was screaming at the camera about how they're going to kick your door and lie to defend the state?
Yeah, but then I see you defending cops.
You're talking about two instances.
Oh, there's more. There's more, I'm sure.
No.
Go to
No. I said when Kim Potter shot him, I said she deserves prison for it.
Okay, that's good. There you go.
See, you look, bro.
Okay, so the Kim Potter thing is, yeah, pretty obvious. But the ones that he's like, he's in the wrong about are Derek Chauvin and Arbery, right? These are two cases that like I just don't see the justification. Yeah, it's really problematic, right? Because there are like people that are ignorant enough to say that probably George Floyd did something to deserve what he got. They want to think that they live in a world like that. They want to think that they live in a world where this shit doesn't happen because it's just easier to sleep at night that way. But he's, Tim Pool is somewhat of a thought leader, and you'd think that he'd be responsible enough to say, no, there's no justification here. Instead, what he's doing is playing to that audience and just essentially making money off of that. I mean, am I saying he's a grifter? I don't know. Maybe he believes what he says, but he's definitely benefiting from this ignorance. He's definitely monetizing the ignorance of a lot of white people, whether he realizes it or not.
I guess that's what happens when you follow a fence sitter.
I think people know at this point. I don't think that people don't think that he's an actual centrist, but for the longest time, he sold himself as a lefty that maybe was a little bit more self-critical than other lefties. And oh my God, does the right wing ever eat that up? So yeah, I mean, this is all part of his game. This is all part of his social media strategy, which unfortunately has worked way too fucking well.
You can't look at two circumstances.
My mic's not working really good.
It's working, bro.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, you could?
We could hear you. Yeah.
There's
think
two
one.
circumstances, high profile ones, where the core of the issue is the facts of the case. It's not a. I don't view the world collectively the way you do, and I'm not saying you're wrong for doing it. I'm saying if I see individual actions, we must protect the innocent if they're the individual if they're innocent. Mm-hmm. So this means when I put out a documentary about, it's called A Report from Occupied Territory. It talks about how the police, we literally interviewed guys whose brother was murdered by cops and covered up. We talk about how the cops systematically focus on these kids to put them through it's called going on tour. What happens is, because in St. Louis, there's like 99 jurisdictions. If you got a busted taillight, on your way to work, you drive through 5 cities. Each cop will give you a ticket. Then when you get arrested for not being able to pay it, they run you through every city over the course of a month, destroying your life. Yeah. That's what this is about. When we see collective injustice, when I see it, I talk about it. Because there are two circumstances where I said we have questions about the individual's rights or innocence, you can't disregard everything that I've done.
Okay, yeah. So you did a documentary that
more than one.
Okay.
We did several dispatches, which were mini documentaries, about 10 minutes long. We did like 6 or 7 of them.
But I watch your videos when you do the booga shit.
What booga shit?
Yeah, like the critical race theory videos where you go, oh, the white boys are gonna be so offended and their kids are hurt feelings and all that stuff.
But we don't talk about the white people of it. We had an Asian woman on the show.
About that though, why are you so obsessed with critical race theory? Why is it so scary to you?
Critical race theory. So if you don't know, when the right wing says critical race theory, they don't mean critical race theory. They don't mean this section where the law intersects social justice, right? They're talking about literally any acknowledgement that we don't live in a post-racist society. They're talking about any acknowledgement of structural racism, of the way that white people benefit from privilege, and the way that things like lack of generational wealth and the sort of history of redlining, contribute to creating a different reality for Black people. And it would be... What's that?
Yes, most certainly. Yes.
Yeah.
And people are discriminated against on the basis of their race. We say it's wrong.
Public school, we got to be choosy about what we teach as a society. So we're kind of deciding how we're going to teach little kids.
Okay, so Moonlord is, as always, useless, and he wants to say that, I don't know, maybe it's not the best use of our time, right? But just anything to get this off the table, anything to keep, white kids' feelings from being hurt, or having to acknowledge, the realities of race in America, that we didn't fix everything back in the 60s, right? That there's still a lot of inequality.
Work to be done.
Yeah, and the first step to doing anything is acknowledging that. I feel like people like this don't want to even take that first step. Their job is to kind of keep us as a society locked in this position of willful ignorance in the case of a lot of white people.
I'm sitting here trying to get my composure back right now, because dude starts raising his voice, talking crazy to me, screaming to me like I'm his son or something,
Well, how do you think I feel when you laugh at my struggle?
Oh my God, I don't know what to say.
I do. Hell, I live in the projects myself. If you consider having your own skate park mansion in the middle of the woods and making 6 figures a year a struggle, then I have news for you, buddy. You are in the top 10%, and you're doing just fine. There's people out here right now, homeless, that can't put food on the table for their families, and he thinks he's struggling in any sort of manner. Ridiculous.
Yeah, the way that he worded that was almost like it's just it's self-parody at this point.
Laughing is
this is a very passionate. This is a very passionate, heated debate. Let's try to focus on facts.
Don't start. Oh, I got stopped at the airport, and then pointing at my.
You laughed at me.
Because it was funny to me. Yeah,
exactly.
It is funny to me. Your struggle is funny.
It's funny that there's people who are racist towards me. It's funny that every time
I go
to the
airport,
he doesn't realize that what he just said was funny when he talked about you laughed at my struggle. It's almost like just let me double down on being a lol cow here. I mean, he's not, because unfortunately half of America or more is seeing this, and they're going to be sympathetic to Tim Pool. Let's be real. There's a lot of people
actually going to be agreeing with him and going, yeah, you know what? Tim Pool is persecuted against. While these same people that are saying that likely live in the middle of nowhere in apartments they don't own, and they're paying insane amounts of rent. And it's just ridiculous. They're following a guy that, the last thing he's worrying about is money.
Well, it's not true. It's like, this whole thing where you're trying to be this victim.
That's what it's about. It's this craving of victimhood, right? And he's selling that to white people who want to be victims, who want to see themselves as victims, who want anything that they can grasp onto to draw a false equivalency from, to say, hey, I'm impacted by racism too. I'm a victim, stop, being mean to me, by acknowledging, systemic racism, which honestly, that acknowledgement, that's not a critique of an individual. That's the fucked up thing, is that like white people, myself included, like we have a tendency to take shit personally that's not even directed at us. Like saying it's systemic in a lot of ways is like letting us off the hook, right? Because, we all like lack understanding of the true dynamics, and it's there maybe there is some like culpability individually, but he's not even talking about that. He's talking about a systemic issue that gets addressed by acknowledgement of it. But like, I guess there's just this like reflex, this just knee jerking towards like not wanting to accept that, and to really, really wanting what Tim Pool is dangling in front of their noses, like this carrot of, victimhood, of being able to say, I'm oppressed too. I get, black people are racist to me sometimes, right? Is really what he's selling.
They've slowly grown to romanticize being persecuted and wanting to feel victimhood so badly until they get shot by a cop for thinking that they potentially have a gun in their hand. Then they no longer want to be victims. Then they want to abolish the police themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. They want the victimhood. They don't want the downsides of the victimhood. They just want to be able to use it as a kind of a shield to not deal with things that are uncomfortable. And any progress that we make is going to come through dealing with things that are uncomfortable. Because, there's a lot worse than discomfort out there, like on the other side of this issue.
You created that. You're creating this victimhood. And that's
I don't
crazy.
live in that world.
You do. Go anywhere. You're safe in the fucking world, man.
So
you're creating, like, my grandparents were Asian.
There's no arguing with ideological racism.
Yeah.
Ideological racism.
Racism. Wow.
I mean, damn, Tim. Like, this is like a Garfield, with the no Garfield sign moment, right? Ideological racism. I wonder where that would be manifesting in this debate, Tim. Don't look in the mirror or anything like that. Make sure to project that all on Raw.
Well, wait a second. If he looks in the mirror, he thinks he's not white, so.
Oh, good point. Yeah, maybe that's a bad idea.
To me, when you look at critical race theory and the onset of it, you see racial disharmony. Like, race relations are pretty bad right now.
I see,
and there's a correlation
on his show, though.
But I would say race relations overall have been deteriorating ever since the onset of critical race theory, when we're meant to see each other as different races rather than the creed and the character. Racism.
Okay.
Utter nonsense.
Race relations too. Like, that's so bizarre. That's so fucking bizarre. That's what they go to. And I guess it's like this sense of if there's any animosity, then that's race relations breaking down.
Or racial tensions.
It's like being, I'm trying to think of an example here. It's like if you're in a car with somebody and, you're smoking and they're coughing, they're obviously not able to breathe and stuff like that. You feel like everything's good because they're not saying anything. and then the moment that they say anything, you're like, hey, where did all this animosity come from? Like, it's just like it's just the weirdest thing that, like, that race relations are just fine as long as black people sit there and take it.
But the moment they show any self-determination, it's the biggest problem in the world.
Yeah, no, it's
You have to look at it, and you have to know it exists.
You won't.
And you have to know it exists, and you have to. Oh, stop!
Well, there's like big R racism and small R racism.
Big R racism and small R racism. Is this like a game to some of these people? I wonder. Do some of these people know what it's like to be a person of color, have a gun put towards you, with the cop's finger on the trigger, and all it takes would be a sneeze to get your head blown off? Because I do. And when situations like that happen, there's very little difference between small R and big R racism. Like, this is a complete game to some of these people, and these people that think that it is such a game do not have the right to speak because they don't even have skin in the game.
Yeah.
This is all just a soap opera to them.
Yeah, I mean, my best guess is he's talking about like intent there, and like, as far as big R or small R, but like you're saying, it's not intent that, like, kills you if you get shot by a cop. It doesn't matter if the intent was there or not. The impact is there, and the impact is, somebody else is dead, right, and they're never coming back, and it doesn't matter how much you assure their, like, family that your intent was not malevolent, they're still dead. and
game over.
Yeah, it's just like you said, no skin in the game, and therefore they conceptualize this, and it's a game, and there's no the actual impact is they're shielded from, and in a lot of ways they not talking about like systemic racism is their way of maintaining that shield.
I feel like you, bro.
Do you really
I beg
in life
you, bro.
feel like some huge victim?
I beg you to listen to what I have to say, but you laugh, you don't care.
Yeah, because do you really believe you're some really over-the-top victim of American society, and they look at you like this lesser of a person? Do you really believe that? You can't believe that. You can't.
It's hard for me to fight racism when you don't believe it exists.
What?
Oh,
again,
God.
Garfield, that's your picture there. That's you, Garfield. That's what the fuck? Oh my God, Tim. No self-awareness whatsoever. Or maybe he does. Maybe this is like strategic. You go ahead and like accuse the other person of what you're doing, and your fucking audience just eats it right up.
Maybe he's projecting that, or he's just projecting insanely hard.
Yeah, I can't tell.
No, I believe racism exists, but I think
don't.
you try to take away from racism by being the victim yourself.
It's what got me really angry is, like, there's a lot of things I can say, like, over and over again. I think there's a lot of people in this country have way worse than I do. And every time I bring up something I went through, you just laugh and you laugh and you laugh. You say it doesn't exist, it's not real. And then the funny thing about the airport is I literally just traveled to Austin, and I got randomly screened both there and back. They pulled me out of the line. They tell me I got to go through special screening, and I don't know why. I don't know why it happens.
Beanie, and I'm not joking.
I don't know.
It's beanie related, Tim. Clearly.
Why it happens. Other people have hats on, bro. It happens every time. I'm not saying it's race related, but it's just like, damn, dude. I experience shit. You laugh at me for. You tell me it's not real.
Yeah, getting pulled over at the airport.
Cops try planting drugs on me.
Somebody mistaking you.
Cops
for
pulling us over at gunpoint from the south side.
Cops definitely planted drugs and put a gun on him at gunpoint. For what reason? Like, nonsense. And if this happens to him, imagine the magnitude that it happens to black people. Like, wow, he is so far gone.
Oh yeah,
bro. I'm from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, do you think? I don't think you just don't understand, and you don't want to understand.
I don't believe you're a victim. I don't.
You just don't.
I don't understand that you're a victim. I don't believe it.
What do you think life was like for me on the south side? You think that, like, the white cops were just like, oh, this kid's cool, he's one of us? Or do you think I got charged?
I think you had a lot better than a lot of people.
Probably. I agree with you on that. But it's just so hard when I'm like, but you need to understand I experience racism in a way you don't, and you just laugh at me for it.
No, what I think the problem is because we were talking.
Wait a second. Didn't he just say racism doesn't exist and is now acknowledging that it does?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it feels like his definition of racism is just like, you know, any kind of angry words around race, right? Whether they are from frustration at experiencing systemic racism and at somebody else's intransigence towards doing anything about that, or, you know, it's just like the KKK racism. He just kind of like he does put those on a parallel, and if you really think about how disturbing that is, it's just as bad for a black person to be upset about experiencing racism as it is for, like, you know, foaming at the mouth racist to enact racism, or maybe not just as, but it's like on the same, like, you know, it's just, I mean, and it's a fucked up rhetorical trick, because you'll see later where he goes with this. He's got an argument, right? And you know, he's coming to the sort of the thesis of that argument. And we'll see, you know, what that thesis is and where it leaves us. It leaves us in a place where we cannot move forward on these issues. We are locked into stasis. We are locked into the current status quo on race, because Tim seems to think that, you know, everything's great, or maybe everything was great until they started talking about CRT, you know. So just go back to that. Go back to the, you know, kind of colorblindness and you know, willful ignorance.
This always comes up when we're talking about the black struggle and we're talking about police killing black people.
But I started this.
You always bring up.
I started this conversation.
You always bring up that I'm the Asian guy, so I'm the Asian guy. I'm the Asian guy to take away from black folks.
I started this conversation specifically about my experiences, not about the black community.
Yeah, but what we were on the topic of the black community and blacks being killed and systemic racism.
No. That's where you brought it. Let's put it this way. Like, this is why I said in the beginning, I don't deny. I think black people have it way worse than I ever did or ever will in this country. But I do experience racism. It's a unique form of it. This is intersectionality. That for my family particularly, we have no generational wealth. My grandfather died in poverty. And you know what my grandfather died doing? He was doing underpaid work in the black community for tax services to try and help him.
I would be really curious to know what Tim even means by intersectionality. What does he think intersectionality is? Because it sounds like he thinks it's just like, it means it's more complicated than that, right?
Far more complicated than that. And you know, this is coming from the guy that doesn't understand the basics of CRT. So.
And I'm just wondering also, what is intersectionality that's to somebody that thinks that you know, white people experience racism in the same way that, like, that black people do? Like, what does that mean to somebody like that?
Yeah.
He ran a company with my aunt called Acid Tax, and he told me that this is the place we need to do the work. My grandfather married an Asian woman in the 1930s, I think.
Wait, your grandmother? Like, I don't know. Like, right? That's not. Anyway, that's a weird way to say it. And anyway, I'm nitpicking here.
Look how he objectifies another race already, an Asian woman. Like, that's her grandmother, not just some Asian woman.
Yeah, like, what is your grandfather, like, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to, like, let's not go there.
They met sometime in, like...
How much Asian are you?
Quarter.
You're not even half, Jesus.
Yeah, second generation.
Come on, man.
Yep.
You're quarter Asian. And you know...
So let me ask you something. Like, how do you think it feels for me to see you laughing at me for that?
For what?
For being a quarter Asian.
No, I'm not. No, I'm laughing because you hit this topic so hard. Like,
because of my experience.
I'm Asian, and they look at me crazy. And you're not. You're 75% white guy, and you look like a white guy, and you talk like a white guy, and you act like a white guy.
I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Wait. So why would it be the way that you got to be if you're going to survive? Are you acknowledging that racism still exists?
Systemic?
Yeah, but no, that's so weird because it, like, cuts against his argument. It completely undermines his argument to say that, like, there's an imperative to act white, that you get treated better when you act white. Like, Tim, it's almost like you're acknowledging it, but then your mind doesn't realize, like, you know, I don't know, you're I don't know if there's something disconnected here. There's some major cognitive dissonance here.
Error.
Why?
Do you think it's because that's the way you got to be if you want to survive in this?
I don't know.
World?
I don't know why. But
do you think that growing up on, do you think they taught me to talk this way on the south side of Chicago?
That I don't know. I have no idea how they. I don't
you think that's how they talk on the south side?
You roll with. I know some people in Chicago that talk
south
like
side.
That. Yeah, I know people from south side.
And do you think everybody talks like this?
No. What I'm saying is, I don't know who you hung out with. Maybe there was some people.
Gangbangers.
Yeah. Oh, you had all the. Let's see the pictures of you.
Insane popes, almighty popes. I wasn't a gangbanger. I never joined them.
Let me see you with all the gangbangers playing video games together. Let me see that.
Yeah, the insane popes broke into my house, stole all my shit.
Oh, that happened too. Yeah.
Dude. So apparently you got a rich dad. Is that true?
No, my dad.
They paid for you to be like to work with these people. That's what people were saying.
Yeah, my dad was rich. He was so rich.
Was he?
No, he was the brokest dude on the planet. Yeah.
Somebody made that claim.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
So I'm from the south side of Chicago, southwest specifically, near Cicero and 47th, and it was mostly the popes were the gang down there. So you had insane popes, you had the almighty popes. The almighty popes were chill. They smoked pot.
But who did you hang out with? Is what I was asking about.
Yeah, the gangbangers.
Oh, so
a lot of the kids. So most of these kids.
So were they at your crib and you were playing video games?
They were having sex in my bed.
Yeah.
I was a little kid though. They were older than me.
I'm saying, who'd you hang out with when you wanted to come up? Where'd you learn how to talk? Like where'd you get your dialect from? Who'd you roll with? Who'd you try to be like?
TV.
Oh, and the rest was just gangbangers hanging out at your house? Like where did you hang out with nerds? Who'd you hang out with?
Kids in this park? What do you mean?
So not gangbangers, just regular ass
gangbangers.
Kids, right? Oh, you hung out with all the gangbangers. Let me see some photos of your childhood, of you hanging out with the gangbangers, the tough guys. Let me see them. I'm serious. I got pictures of my childhood.
So when I was 9.
So like I wonder if there's a cut right there. I wonder what happened right there. Yeah, it seems like he kind of got rattled there, but then all of a sudden he comes back and like, I mean, like knowing video editing to the degree which I do, I would say there's a good chance there was a little bit of video cut out right there.
My mom.
And I'm looking at both these Pope gangs that he mentioned, and to this day, yes, they're both still active. But they were most active between the 1950s and 1978. I highly doubt he had a bunch of these almighty popes running through his house with his brother and sister still around, without one of them, condoning it. Sounds a little bit fishy.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe somebody who rolled with him back then will pop up and give us an explanation of, shed a little light about Tim's childhood. So.
My mom opened a cafe on the north side of Chicago. Got a small business loan, used our house as collateral. We were a lower middle class family. My dad was a firefighter. So my dad would be gone for 2 days at a time because firefighters were 2 on, 1 off. While my dad was out, my mom didn't live with us anymore. The insane and almighty popes basically took over our house. You want to meet my sister? And she'll tell you all about it. She's here too.
Tell me the story.
And so basically I'm 9, 10, 11. And they're drinking, they're smoking, they're in my room, they use all my stuff, they're having sex in my bed. That was life on the south side of Chicago.
So they stole your house? What do you mean? They kidnapped you? Or what do you
mean? Just came over and they were like, we got this house to hang out at. My sister was a little bit older, but she was, I think, only like 14.
Was friends with some of them and let them in?
I don't think it was my sister. I honestly don't know.
Who let these gangbangers in the house?
Bro, our parents weren't home.
So they just ransacked the house and came in? Or did
ransack stuff? They actually cleaned it up.
Just be honest. Who let them in?
They let themselves in.
Oh, so they knew you guys were alone, and they said, this is the house that we can do it all to, and you guys just
But hold on, bro. The almighty popes were stoners, and they were pretty cool. Mm-hmm. They cleaned.
So you let them in?
I didn't let anybody. I was a little kid. It was maybe my brother, my sister. Yeah, they knew us from Vidum Park.
Friends with one of your brothers or sisters.
My brother's a year and a half older than me. We're little kids.
Okay, so like he's 11. The brother is like at most 13. The sister the sister is 14. But yeah, maybe not. I don't know. So one of them let these guys in, and it almost sounds like, I don't know. It almost sounds more like, the more likely thing I'm thinking is that maybe they threw parties at their house or something, and like right when the parents were gone. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but yeah, he's making it sound like like they're just like the dad's car pulls out of the driveway and here comes the popes and they're like, yeah, we're gonna use this as our just hangout spot. This is gonna be our
the Warriors movie.
Yeah,
they're walking down the block.
Yeah, right. They got like their own thing. Maybe they were the Pope. If it was the Warriors thing, they would probably actually dress as popes, and there'd be like, what was it? The almighty popes and the crazy popes, the insane popes. Okay.
And
at first, when you started telling the story, I thought it sounded like what's the Humphrey Bogart Desperate Hours, where they come in the house and take over and start having sex.
They actually
everywhere.
clean. I don't want to stress that point. The almighty popes will clean our house. because they knew if our parents came back, my dad came back from the firehouse and found it all fucked up.
Oh, okay.
This legit sounds like an episode of some like TV show, right? You know, like this gang comes over, throws a crazy party. They're fucking in Tim's bed. They're you know spilling like 40s on the floor. They're smoking all over the place, and then they're like, oh shit, the dad's about to come back, and they like all pitch in to like yeah, this big like gangbang cleanup crew. I don't know what the fuck.
Shit would be fucked up. Yeah, but one day...
That sounds safe. That sounds like a good time, you know?
Guys, yeah, they weren't all bad dudes.
Cleaning your house.
Just being gangbangers. Oh. They V'd in... My friend Andy got V'd in my basement.
Who were your friends? That's what I'm just trying to find out. I'm just trying to find out about your childhood. I'm just... Who were your friends?
Same kids.
I thought they were your older brothers. You didn't know who let them in the house. Who was like your boy? Who like, yo, this is my best friend? Who were your best friends that you rocked with?
I didn't have one.
You didn't have no friends at all?
The friends from the skate park, bro.
Just tell me
from the Vidum Park.
Oh,
we didn't have
okay, so you hung out with the skaters. That took 10 minutes to get it out of you. You hung out with the skaters. Those were your people.
So some of them, eventually, by the time I was 16. So when I was 9, 10, and 11, one of our friends, Andy, he wasn't allowed in the house. My dad didn't let him in. He once shot me in the leg with a BB gun because he's a piece of shit, but, we were friends. And he got V'd in my basement, meaning the Popes. You know what that means?
No, V'd, I don't know what V'd means.
V'd is you get violated to join the gang. So they brought him in the basement and they beat him up.
Somebody?
No. V'd means they beat him up.
Oh, who was this? Your brother now? Or?
Just a guy. One of my friends in the neighborhood. His name was Andy.
Oh, so they beat somebody up in your basement? Right.
They beat him up so he could. It's initiation. You want to join the gang, you get V'd. Another dude was given a gun and told to kill when he was 13. He was given a gun and told to go kill 2 people because 13-year-olds get out when they're 18. Mm-hmm. And so that dude he got out when he was 18. He came back. And that was the first time like we had ever actually met him because he went to prison. We went to juvie after he killed 2 people.
I hung out with a lot of shooters too. I had a lot of murderers in the house. I had shooters and murderers in my house. I'm not
so
sure.
The funny thing is what I hear a lot of from the Occupy Wall Street people is that when I first got there and I was just some dude showing up with my phone, they told me that I was the perfect symbol, that I was like this smart dude who was held back, no high school diploma, no opportunities. And then once I got featured in a magazine, they said exactly what you said, that I talk white, I sound white, I'm silver spoon, and I come from that world, and it's never been true. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what I did see. I understood what was going on around me, and I watched a lot of TV, I watched a lot of movies, and I learned how people spoke.
Wait, you learned how people spoke? Like, not everybody speaks the same. Wait. Who are you? Who's what? That's weird. That's how people speak. Okay. I'm not even gonna. Look how
limited his worldview is. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm not even gonna read too much into that. But damn, Tim.
Fortunately, I think my parents were good parents. Not, we weren't well off or anything. We lost the house. We ended up once we lost the house in bankruptcy. My parents ended up getting a divorce. Went to Kennedy High School, and I remember the first month I was there, one guy got hit in the face, fell to the ground, and then pulled a 2x4 out from under a car. The other guy said, "I thought we said no weapons, bitch." We got all the kids hanging out, and then the guy goes up to another car and then pulls out a gun. Someone yells "strap," and everybody runs.
Yeah. That sounds like high school stuff. We all know.
Yeah.
Fights in the parking lot, somebody pulls out the gun, you all run. That's high school stuff,
So I think one thing I benefited greatly from was being in this area that was fairly mixed. A lot of different people of different backgrounds. And then I got to start experiencing things as I got older, going to white suburbs and learning about the differences between a kid who looks visibly different from other people, even if it's only minor, even if it's only some people. Yeah. I did not have the same experience as the white suburban kids. Yeah. I didn't get to live the life they lived. And then I had to deal with the pain that comes with being poor, the pain that comes with not having a community to retreat to or have anyone to be there to be like, we got your back. So I guess it's, what do I end up doing? Going my own way the whole way. Traveling around the country, leaving, and just trying to find something. But I don't have a community to go back to. And that's the point I was trying to make, that the one thing I don't have that every other racial group does have is a community. Yeah. You just tell me I look white, but then when I try to go to these places, they're like, "You're not white."
Yeah. You made that point. Yep.
All right, man. I appreciate it, dude.
I don't know. I just don't. I understand. Everybody got their struggles, But yeah.
So this is what
I just I could do a whole list of every struggle humanly impossible, imaginable to you right now. I could give you the whole list of struggles from my life, but that's okay. I don't need to.
So here's the point I'm trying to make.
At worst,
I have actually dedicated part of my career, time and energy, towards talking about what's going on in these black communities, especially in like Ferguson. What I don't like what's happening in this country is that we are now having schools and institutions decide to implement race-based policies.
We talked about critical race theory the whole time. We're going to go back there. We're going to talk about it again.
I'm saying my point right here.
Yeah, we disagree with it 100%. We know
right.
that, you know.
So just
because originally you said, my argument with that was you were celebrating the banning of it and DeSantis banning critical race theory, and I thought you being a free speech fighter for free speech, that was hypocritical. That was the argument. You said no.
We agree.
And you said I don't think they should ban critical race theory. That's where the conversation could have ended right there.
But what I'm saying right here, the reason I tell you the story about my background and my experiences is because I don't want to live in a world where I have to tell my kids like lie on your race, lie about your race.
Life happens, man. I know, I feel you, but life happens.
I'd like to get to a point where we're like, you don't got to worry about writing down your race. You are who you are, and we're going to treat you like a human being.
I mean, what if we didn't get to that point, but we got to a point where we pretended we were at that point so that people with privilege could feel good and that, like, you know, everybody else could just put up with their suffering, right? And as long as they shut up, you know, we're all good, right? And if they don't shut up,
just keep the status quo the whole time.
Then that's racial animosity, and they're being racist, and then they should be, you know, punished for that, right? It's just like, it's so like,
yeah. Well, there's a long time before we could do that because America has screwed up everything. America screwed up everything and hurt a lot of people and murdered a lot of people and jailed a lot of people, and it's not that easy to just go, we're all colorblind. There's no color or race. It's not that easy.
All right. Well, so
wow.
Yeah, there's Tim Pool. Yeah, and his whole thing, you know, like the thesis of what he's saying basically is this. Maybe I saw it in another video where he talks about like his views on race. He really thinks that that basically, yeah, there was an equilibrium point reached at some point, maybe like after the 60s, that where everything was good, right? And then we should just forget about race because everything's solved. And what he'll do is he will call anybody who makes an analysis of race that, you know, implies like systemic racism against POC. He'll look at that as being reactionary. He'll call that reactionary. He'll put that on the same side that he puts, you know, the KKK. He'll put that on the same side as like anti-black racism. He'll say basically that what we got here is we had inequality, and then we had Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King gave us equality, so that if anybody's striving for anything after that, what they really want is they want to oppress white people in the same way that white people oppressed others. And basically what that is an excuse to, you know, it comes from white guilt. And it's this idea of like, look back at history. Oh my God, that shit is rough. Wow. Like, you know, black people got fucked over. And instead of thinking like, let's do something about that, you think, what if they did it to us? What if they did it to us? So it's a justification. That's how white guilt can become a justification for essentially
violence.
Well, yeah, and preserving inequality, right? It's this idea that, like, you know, maybe you could give people some kind of you know, some kind of a token of equality, but you can't actually give actual equality, because it's justification for basically maintaining that inequality, because the idea is that there's so much fear of retribution that it's not safe to it's not safe to move forward. And so you can see how kind of segmented and cognitively dissonant his thinking is, like how messed up. Like, you know, he has several different positions. He's like the quantum physics of political positions, right? His political stances are in superposition with each other, and he doesn't even realize it. And they're kind of convenient, like, right, when he wants to, talk about, like, his own how, like, anti-white sentiment is racism, he'll call that racism. But then when he wants to pretend that racism doesn't exist, he'll do that. These things are mutually exclusive, and that should be a clue that he needs to, kind of unify these dialectics in some way. He needs to come to a point of synthesis. But because of the just kind of the nature of his segmented thinking, he's not seeing that, right? He's not seeing how many contradictions there still are. And it puts us in a place where we can't move forward. Where to move forward to actually address racism is considered racism, and the only answer is to, like, turn our backs and pretend that none of this shit ever happened, pretend that general wealth disparity doesn't exist, pretend that there was no, like, holdovers from racism, and pretend that, like, our laws are not only written equal but they're enacted equal. And that's a hard pill to swallow for anybody who's actually engaging with the reality.
It's a pill that marginalized people have to swallow every single day.
Yeah, because the way that these guys see things, that we don't have any more racism. But if you say that there's racism, then you're the racist, right? It's just this real ostrich, hide your head in the sand, and hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil mentality. All right, well, thanks for coming by, and everybody, this is Duke of Cheek Clapping on YouTube, and I believe you're Red Puerto Rican on Twitch?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is not somebody that's making content or anything. This is somebody that came by from the goodness of his own heart. So thank you so much for helping me to get through this fucking cringe that is Tim Pool versus Ra the Rugged Man.
Of course, and please everyone like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because sometimes videos just simply don't pop up anymore.
Oh my god, thank you so much. Yeah, that's the one thing I need to step up my game on, the call to action. But thank you for making that for me. That makes it so much easier. I don't have to toot my own horn. But yeah, all right. Well, yeah. All those things apply. And thanks again.